Welcome to the Chapel of the North Hills. My name is Dan Richardson, and we're going to look at the jewels of Ephesus together. Today, chapter 1, verse 4. Let me read it to you. For he chose us in him before the foundation of the world to be holy and blameless in his sight in love. We get to know the election results right away. Now, in many of the last elections in our country, we have seen hotly contested results. Many have been too close to call until all the ballots were counted. We've even seen several decisions end up in court where they have to have legal battles to decide anything from hanging chads to stuffed boxes to hacked electronics. And as a result, we're trained to watch with anticipation what the election results are going to be. Sometimes we stay up late into the night and then give up and think, well, it'll be weeks before we ever know the results. But when it comes to the most important election, we can know the results immediately because God tells us in verse 4 that he chose us in him before the foundation of the world. That's the most important election ever. And we have to spend some time meditating on this. Think about it. God chose you. God elected you. We can wonder about this and debate when this election happened, what of the order of the events in the mind of God. Or we can also wonder and debate about to whom it happened. But to me, it's much more pleasant just to simply marvel the fact that it did happen. Well, children on the playground, they pick teams. They divide up team captains and they pick teams and they choose somebody based on how good a player that person is supposed to be. I expect this person to be a good player, so I'm going to choose him for my team. Well, God didn't choose us based upon how good of a Christian he expected us to be, how good a person he knew we would turn out. Courting couples, they will choose a mate or choose a date based on who is likely to choose them back. Well, God didn't choose us because he knew we would choose him back. His election is not based on any merit of ours or on his knowing how we would respond, although actually he does know. He does know certainly the future. So this word in Greek is eklego. And in Greek it carries the meaning, the basic meaning of a collection or a gathering together. We get our English word eclectic from this term. When we assemble a collection of movies, these are the kind of movies that I like. I have an eclectic collection of movies. Music, I have an eclectic music taste. And I gather a collection of music from many different sources and different artists. And we show off our eclectic tastes in this manner all the time. Well, in the same sense, God has assembled a people from all over the globe throughout time into his church. And the church is also a related term. In Greek, it's the word ekklesia. Well, one interpretive issue that we've got to deal with is right there at the end of the verse, that little phrase, in love. We have to know and figure out, what does that in love refer to? What part of the verse? Well, Paul's sentence actually starts in verse 3 and goes all the way down to verse 14. And so the original language punctuation is not going to give us any insight because it's just a big long sentence. So we look at how the New American Standard and the New International Version have examined this. They put a period in front of in love and stick the phrase in love onto verse 5. So the New King James and the King James and the Christian Standard Bible, they have used the phrase in love to refer to holy and blameless. And this makes sense because love is the driving force behind our personal holiness. Well, I, however, prefer to use in love to modify the very beginning of this sentence where it says he chose. So the motivation for God choosing us is his love for us. This is the thrust of the New Living Translation, which says, he loved us and chose us. Well, the New American Standard, the New International, both will carry this same interpretive idea, because when they attach in love to the next verse, then it modifies the predestination. So that still carries the interpretation that God chose us because of his great love for us. So the jewel here is that God did not have to choose us. God was not forced to choose us. He was not coerced or persuaded. He didn't get talked into choosing us. He chose us because he loves us. The great gospel songwriter, Andre Crouch, put this concept into a song. I don't know why Jesus loved me. I don't know why he cared. I don't know why he sacrificed his life. Oh, but I'm glad that he did. The moment that you give your heart to Jesus, you can know the election results. You have been elected into God's family, and you can know that he loves you. Thank you for joining us for the Jewels of Ephesus.